Welcome to the Geeks Attic. This is a Novelization Collection video 2.0. That's right, 2.0, because I did this about 2, 3, maybe even 4 years ago. Time flies. You know, you acquire more stuff and you're like, I'm going to shoot another video. I'm going to include everything that I did in the first video because I got a whole bunch of other things here. So if you've been with me long enough and you watched that video, then cool, we got an update. Okay, first, I'm gonna try to do this by genre, okay? I know I'm probably gonna screw this up. People are gonna start bitching at me in the comments. I don't care. So up first, we have the adventure/fantasy genre, and it's a Lucasfilm production, a film by Steven Spielberg, Raiders of the Lost Ark. This is written by Campbell Black. Up next, we have Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Not just one copy, but two. One of these, this one, is very fragile. It feels like it's gonna rip when I open it up. Scary, so I found a better copy right here. And this is written by James Caan. So I'm glad to have two copies. I'll read the bad one, so this one stays in that pristine condition. I guess that's how you gotta do it, right? So then we have, to wrap up the Indiana Jones series, we have The Last Crusade, written by Rob McGregor. So that's the Indiana Jones trilogy, which I guess it's really not a trilogy anymore because there's the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Don't have that book. I have seen it in hardcover. I'm not going to pick up a hardcover. Up next, we have a novel from John Borman, Zardoz. Now, I just want to clarify, some of these movies I have not seen. I just have the novelization. So next, after Zardoz. And now a major motion picture from Warner Brothers starring Will Smith, Kevin Kline, and Kenneth Branagh, we have Wild Wild West. Story by John Thomas, screenplay by S.S. Wilson and Brent Maddock and Jeffrey Price and Peter S. Seaman. Novelization by Bruce Bethke. Wild Wild West. Warcraft, the official movie novelization from director Duncan Jones, story by Chris Metzen, novel by Christy Golden. I do have a prequel novel. It's a movie tie-in. It's not an official novelization, but it is the official prequel to the story, Warcraft Dorotan, and it has all the same information, director Duncan Jones, story by Chris Metzen, and a novel by Christy Golden. This, I have read it. I have read the Warcraft novel. This, by far, is a much superior book than the Warcraft novelization. I recommend you go pick up this if you like the Warcraft stuff. Conan the Barbarian, now a major Universal picture. Thief, warrior, barbarian, king. And this is written by, where's the author's name? It's not L. Sprague de Camp and Lynn Carter. It is not on the front of the book. That's pretty crazy. I like reading the cover of these books. It's like reading a movie poster, but, you know, the book cover. Now a major motion picture, Sword and the Sorcerer. Now this says, in a medieval world of wicked kings and soldiers who rape and pillage, it is the sorcerer who is the most powerful of all. And this is written by Norman Winsky. So that's interesting. Haven't read this one yet. It's got movie photos on the back there too. This next one is a spellbinding novel of fantasy and adventure, The Dark Crystal, by A.C.H. Smith, with 8 pages of color stills from the magical movie, The Dark Crystal. By the best-selling author of The Druid of Shannara, we have Hook, coming at you in stereo there. Got 2 copies by Terry Brooks, now based on the screenplay by Jim V. Hart and Mila Scotch Marmo. Next, same book, 2 completely different covers, but they say the same thing. A wondrous tale of a child, a prophecy, and the power of magic. We have Willow, and this is written by Wayland Drew. So I took a peek inside the covers, and this is a first printing. This version is the second printing. Also from Wayland Drew, I know a lot of you, if you've stuck with this channel, you know that I'm a huge fan of Dragon Slayer. I'm going to show you my Dragon Slayer novel collection. This is the Great Britain print of Dragon Slayer. It says, a sweeping mystical fantasy by Wayland Drew. Now a spectacular film. So this is the Great Britain print of Dragon Slayer. On the back you have one image. Next is the Canadian print. It says, a fantasy with an eloquence and humor that raises it above the average. Highly recommended. Library Journal. There's the Canadian print at the back of the book. And next it says, now a spectacular motion picture, Dragon Slayer by Wayland Drew, based on the screenplay written by Hal Barwood and Matthew Robbins. And that's not one, but it's 2, 3, 4 copies of this novel. So, like I said, once I find one that's in good shape, it replaces the previous, and so on. So, yeah, each one of those is better condition than the last. And then finally, this is the comic book adaptation of the movie. So this is issues 1 and 2 in a trade paperback form, color and all. The official Marvel Comics adaptation of the spectacular Paramount/Disney motion picture. Awesome. Moving on to the next genre, we've got superhero stuff. I don't know if that's actually a genre or not, but that's what we're going to call it. The first one, it says, soon to be a major motion picture from Marvel Studios, Iron Man, from Peter David. This is based on the screenplay by Mark Fergus and Hawk Otsby, and art, Markham and Matt Holloway. So there's your first Marvel novelization. I don't think they followed through with every film and did a novelization. In fact, I can tell you right now, they did not do that. So I know there is a Iron Man 2 novelization and an Incredible Hulk novelization out there. I don't know if that's where they stopped. I think it is. Up next is now a major blockbuster from 20th Century Fox, X-Men. A novelization by Kristen Catherine Rush and Dean Weasley Smith, based on the movie written by Christopher McQuarrie and Ed Solomon. And then we have Spider-Man 2, the official novelization of the film, by Peter David, based on the motion picture screenplay by Alan Sargent, screen story by David Cope and Alfred Goh and Miles Miller, based on the Marvel comic book by Stan Lee and Stephen Ditko. I might lose a viewer after this, but I've only seen the first movie that I'm about to show you. Wasn't too happy with it, so I never watched another one. And I don't know why I have this, but it's Superman 4. That's right. Yep, I only saw the first movie once, and I thought, wow, this was kind of dull. It's a novelization by B.B. Hiller, based on the story by Christopher Reeve and Lawrence Connor and Mark Rosenthal, and screenplay by Lawrence Connor and Mark Rosenthal, with 8 pages of movie photos. Superman 4. There's a sticker on there that says $1. We've got Batman, Mask of the Phantasm, the animated movie novelization. This is a novelization by Andrew Helfer, based on an original story by Alan Burnett. This is, I believe, is like a YA type book. Pretty cool. The world's most awesome crime fighter is about to meet his match in Batman. Novelization by Craig Shaw Gardner, based on the story by Sam Hamm and the screenplay by Sam Hamm and Warren Scarron, and the characters created by Bob Kane. Batman. This is actually my favorite Batman film. 1989. That's the Batman movie for everyone. Gotta follow it up with Batman faces 2 adversaries, one villainous, the other mysterious, in Batman Returns. Novelization by Craig Shaw Gardner, story by Daniel Waters and Sam Hamm, screenplay by Daniel Waters. Can't stop with that one, can we? We gotta move on to the novelization by Peter David, which we saw with Spider-Man 2 and Iron Man. He also did Batman Forever. So Peter David, it says, New York Times bestselling author of Q Squared. based on a screenplay written by Lee Batchelor and Janet Scott Batchelor, and Akiva Goldsman. Batman Forever. Now we're going to dive into what I labeled as drama. Warner Brothers presents a Morgan Creek production, the major motion picture event of the year. Kevin Costner is Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Now, a novel by Simon Green, based on the story by Penn Densom, and the screenplay by Penn Densom and John Watson. You've got it, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Next, we have a major motion picture from 20th Century Fox, Mel Gibson and Sophie Marceau. What kind of man would defy a king? Braveheart. Written by Randall Wallace. Wallace. I doubt there's any relation to William Wallace. This next book defines the year of 2020. It's now a major motion picture from Warner Brothers, starring Dustin Hoffman, Rene Russo, and Morgan Freeman. We've got Outbreak, a novel by Robert Tyne, based on the motion picture written by Lawrence Dort and Robert Roy Poole. It's about a virus that starts killing a lot of people. This next novel is by David Morrell, best-selling author of First Blood, from the screenplay by Sylvester Stallone and James Cameron. We have Rambo First Blood, Part 2. The most dangerous man in the world is back. In the book to tie up this genre, he's a has-been battler with one dream left and one last chance. We've got Rocky, a love story about the world's heavyweight championship by Julia Sorrell, based on the screenplay by Sylvester Stallone. The award-winning movie of the year, Rocky. This next genre is going to be holiday. I only have 2 books here. They're both Christmas books. The Most Magical Story Ever Told, Alexander Salkind presents Santa Claus the Movie, a novel by Joan D. Vinge, based on a story by David and Leslie Newman, screenplay by Dave Newman. Now, this is not the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. This is something completely different. I've never heard of it. And then we've got a #1 New York Times best-selling book, now a major motion picture, Christmas with the Cranks, starring Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis. Skipping Christmas. No Ho Ho by John Grisham. These next few books, I didn't know where to put them. Fantasy, science fiction, I don't know. So I just put them before I show you the science fiction because they could kind of tie into it. They're monster films as well, so maybe just call them monster genre. First, When You Can't Believe Your Eyes, Trust Your Heart, with Harry and the Hendersons, a novel by Joyce Thompson, based on a screenplay by William Deere and William E. Martin and Ezra D. Rappaport. Harry and the Hendersons, great family movie. And from there, of course, the monster just has to get bigger. Based on the major motion picture from TriStar Pictures, we have Godzilla, based on the screenplay written by Dean Delvin and Roland Emmerich, a novelization by Stephen Molstad. The monster just gets bigger with the official movie novelization of Godzilla, the most recent of Godzilla reboots, a novelization by Greg Cox, based upon the screenplay by Max Bornstein, story by David Callahan, based on the character Godzilla, owned and created by Toho Company Limited. There you go. Godzilla. Then we have the official movie novelization of Godzilla King of the Monsters, a novelization by Greg Keyes, based upon the screenplay by Michael Dowtry and Zach Shields, story by Max Bornstein and Michael Dowtry and Zach Shields, based on the character Godzilla from the Toho Company. We got Godzilla, King Ghidorah, Mothra, and Rodan, all listed there on the bottom. Spoiler alert, I mean, come on. Owned and created by Toho Company Limited. So, long live the king, Godzilla, King of the Monsters. And the last of the monster novelizations, we have the official movie novelization Kong Skull Island by Tim Levin. Story by John Gattens and Dan Gilroy. Screenplay by Dan Gilroy and Max Bornstein. Directed by Jordan Vogt Roberts. Or Vogt Roberts. V-O-G-T Roberts. Now we move on to the sci-fi genre. This is probably the biggest one that I have here. It's now a major motion picture from 20th Century Fox. We have The Abyss. The ocean holds many secrets. One of them is trying to tell us something. It's a novel by Hugo and Nebula award-winning author Orson Scott Card, based on an original screenplay by James Cameron. The Abyss. Then we have, this one's pretty cool. I like this one. From Steven Spielberg presents a Robert Zemeckis film, Back to the Future. That's right, it's a novel by George Gipe based on a screenplay by Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale. That's not the only copy I have. The other one looks like this. That's cool. Got Marty with his DeLorean, and then Marty holding a camcorder. And it just says Back to the Future, a Robert Zemeckis film, a novel by... It's the same information. Nothing new. This one says it's printed in the US, and this one says that it's printed in Great Britain. So, US, Great Britain. Those two covers are completely different, and it's kind of funny that this one, the Great Britain novel, looks more like this one, Back to the Future 2. It's a Steven Spielberg presents a Robert Zemeckis film, Back to the Future 2. A novel by Craig Shaw Gardner based on a screenplay by Bob Gale, story by Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale. So that's Back to the Future 2. It's got movie photos, and the only thing that I say is like the same is we've got the logo, looks much like the Great Britain version. The US is just red and white. And then, you know, to make it just even more weird is another US print that we have here is Back to the Future Part 3. It's a Robert Zemeckis film, Steven Spielberg presents. A novel by Craig Shaw Gardner based on a screenplay by Bob Gale, story by Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale. So, two US covers that look pretty similar to the Great Britain cover, while the US version just looks different. This next one is the hilarious new comedy from MGM, Spaceballs the Book. Yep, a novelization by jovial Bob Stein, based on the screenplay written by Mel Brooks and Thomas Meehan and Ronnie Graham. Looks like we're getting into the extraterrestrial type material. This next one is Close Encounters of the Third Kind, a novel by Steven Spielberg, now a Columbia picture. Now this is not really written by Steven Spielberg. I have the feeling that it's actually going to be Alan Dean Foster, because he did a lot of these types of books with, you know, the director written on the front as the director. I could be wrong. It might not be Alan Dean Foster. That's just my guess. It's not Steven Spielberg. Dean Devlin, Roland Emmerich, and Stephen Molstad, now a major motion picture from 20th Century Fox starring Will Smith, Bill Pullman, and Jeff Goldblum. We have Id4 Independence Day. I love this movie. I haven't read the book yet, but I love the movie. Now a major motion pictures from Warner Brothers. We have Mars Attacks. I've been looking for this one for a long time. I was so happy when I found it. The official movie tie-in, a novel by Jonathan Gems based on his screen story and screenplay, based upon Mars Attacks, a property of the Topps Company. Interesting. Did not know that. But yeah, this is the motion picture Mars Attacks novelization. From the director of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Steven Spielberg, we have E.T. the Extraterrestrial in his adventure on Earth. A novel by William Kotzwinkle based on the screenplay by Melissa Matheson. And I don't just have this one copy, I've got another one right here, and it's super shiny. So I've got two of them, they both say the same thing, white cover, silver cover, and they're both the same color on the back. The silver cover is a first printing, the white cover is a sixth printing. I do have another E.T. book, but guys, it's not a novelization, it's a spin-off. It's E.T. the Book of the Green Planet, a new novel by William Kotzwinkle based on the story by Steven Spielberg. So this is like an expanded universe book for E.T. That's really cool. This next novelization is the action movie of the year starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, the ultimate hunter, the deadliest prey, one-on-one, Predator. A novel by Paul Monette, based on a screenplay by James E. Thomas and John C. Thomas. And then we're going to follow that one up with the official movie novelization of The Predator, a novel by Christopher Golden and Mark Morris, based on the screenplay written by Fred Decker and Shane Black, based on the characters created by Jim Thomas and John Thomas, directed by Shane Black. 20th Century Fox presents a feature film starring David Duchovny, Gillian Anderson, The X-Files Fight the Future. Now, this is a novelization of a movie based off of a TV show, but this is a movie novelization. Screenplay by Chris Carter, story by Chris Carter and Frank Spotnitz, by Chris Carter, adapted by Elizabeth Hand. So this is written by Elizabeth Hand. Not very clear on that one. The official movie novelization, Bloodshot. Novelization by Gavin Smith, based on the motion picture screenplay written by Jeff Waldo and Eric Hessler, and directed by David F. Wilson. I'm not sure if this movie even came out in theaters because of this whole 2020 coronavirus thing. Now, it might have hit theaters before everything happened, but yeah, part man, part machine, all cop. We've got Robocop, The Future of Law Enforcement, a novel by Ed Naha, based on the screenplay by Edward Nemirer and Michael Miner. Robocop. This one is the explosive new film from Universal Pictures starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. They killed his wife 10 years ago. There's still time to save her. In Time Cop. Murder is forever until now. A novel by S.D. Perry based upon a screenplay by Mark Verdon. Story by Mark Richardson and Mark Verdon. Time Cop. Terminator 2 Judgment Day by Randall Frakes, based on the screenplay by James Cameron and William Wisher. I know I've seen multiple covers of Terminator 2. This is the one that I chose, with Arnold Schwarzenegger on the front, looking cool. The novel of the blockbuster film Schwarzenegger, Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines. A novel by David Hagberg, based on the screenplay by John Brancato and Michael Ferris, story by John Brancato, and Michael Ferris, and Teddy Serafine. Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines. Up next is Blade Runner. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? A novel by Philip K. Dick. As of now, I have two. Very soon, I'm just going to have one, because I'm trading one of these for another novelization that I'm excited to get. Beyond our time, beyond our universe, there is a planet designed by alien invaders where a young king must rescue his love from the clutches of the beast, or risk the death of his world in Crawl. A world light years beyond your imagination. A novel by Alan Dean Foster, screenplay by Stanford Sherman. This looks so tacky, I really would like to see this movie. Or read the book. I should probably just read the book. This next one is a novelization by New York Times bestselling author Nancy Holder, based on the screenplay written by Katie Dippold and Paul Feig, based on the 1984 Ghostbusters, written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, and directed by Ivan Reitman. Ghostbusters is now a major motion picture. What I have here is the first time, and it's gone. The cover is ripped up. This is an old beat-up copy that I found in a gas station a long time ago when I was a kid. It's falling apart. Have not found a better copy of this version of the book. This, I believe, is the U.S. version. There are multiple copies. There's a English copy and an American copy. This is the United States of America copy. Ghostbusters, a novel by Richard Mueller, based on the motion picture written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. So yeah, I'm really sad about how beat up this was, but it's always looked like this. Found it when I was a kid. I even put tape on it when I was younger to try to hold it together. So I definitely need to get a better version of this copy by Richard Mueller. If you guys can get that for me, I'd appreciate it. So I do have the Cornet printing, which is the Great Britain printing. Ghostbusters by Larry Milne, a novel based on the screenplay by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. So I've got 2 of those. And then I have 2 copies. Yep, one of them's in pretty bad shape. The other one is in great shape. Ghostbusters 2, novel by Ed Naha, based on the motion picture, written by Harold Ramis, Dan Aykroyd, based on the characters created by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, and an Ivan Reitman film starring Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, Harold Ramis, and Rick Moranis. And they have, of course, the pictures of things from the movie on the inside. This one was like 18 bucks, even though it says $1 right there. This one was only $2.99, and it's in better shape than this one. So, yay. And I'm so happy that in 2020, the best thing that came out of 2020 is this reprint of Ghostbusters. It has the original novelizations of Ghostbusters 1 and 2, the novelization by Richard Mueller and Ed Naha. Now, that Richard Mueller novelization of Ghostbusters 1 is that US printing that I was talking about that I don't have. But I do have it in this book, not the original one, though. So I still want that original one. But Ghostbusters was written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, director Ivan Reitman. Ghostbusters 2, written by Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd, directed by Ivan Reitman. So 2-in-1 novelization right there from Titan Books. That's awesome. Now, my first go for picking up Ghostbusters 2 didn't go so well. It was like mislabeled on eBay. Guess who's coming to save the world again? Yeah, Ghostbusters 2. This is like the junior novel. It's small. It's got pictures throughout. Yeah, with 16 photos from the exciting new motion picture, Ghostbusters 2. And, you know, it goes into all that stuff. This is a novel by B.B. Hiller. So based on all that stuff that I read previously. This is a Dell Yearling book. So this is like the YA/junior book for Ghostbusters 2. These next 3 novelizations are going to end the sci-fi genre, but lead us into the horror genre. So up first we have Alien. In Space, No One Can Hear You Scream. A novel by Alan Dean Foster, screenplay by Dan O'Bannon, story by Dan O'Bannon and Robert Shust. Aliens. Pretty simple cover there. A novelization by Alan Dean Foster, based on the screenplay by James Cameron. A story by James Cameron and David Giller and Walter Hill, based on characters created by Dan O'Bannon and Ronald Sushit. Upon further inspection, it's Ronald Shusett. Alien 3. This time, it's hiding in the most terrifying place of all. A novelization by Alan Dean Foster, based on screenplay by David Giller and Walter Hill and Larry Ferguson. Story by Vincent Ward. Next, we're into the horror genre, and we've got a completely new novel by Hank Searles, based on the screenplay by Howard Sackler and Dorothy Tristan. Inspired by Peter Benchley's Jaws, we have Jaws 2. So to complete that, we also do have, not the novelization because they didn't have one, but it's what the movie was based off of, Jaws by Peter Benchley. It's a #1 super thriller, a novel of relentless terror, Jaws. And it doesn't stop there because we have the riveting, sharp-toothed inside story of the most terrifying movie ever made, The Jaws Log, by Carl Gottlieb, with over 50 candid photos from the movie. This next one is the sensational new Irwin Allen production from Warner Brothers, a masterpiece of chilling terror that just might come true, The Swarm, a novel by Arthur Herzog. Gary Bradner, Cameron's Closet, now a major motion picture. Don't ever open the door. Freddy Krueger is back in an all-new hit movie in Wes Craven's New Nightmare, a novel by David Bergantino, based on the motion picture written by Wes Craven, based on characters created by Wes Craven. This time, the terror doesn't stop at the screen. The official novelization, Halloween, from John Passarella. Now, it's not the original novelization from the 70s. This is the 2018 version of Halloween. It's like the new sequel to the original Halloween, replacing the original sequel to the original Halloween. Now a major motion picture from New Line Cinema starring Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, Let He Who Is Without Sin Try to Survive in 7. A novel by Anthony Bruno based on the screenplay written by Andrew Kevin Walker. No One Alive Is Safe on the Night of the Living Dead. A novel of terror by John Russo based on the screenplay by the classic film of horror by John Russo and George Romero, with shocking scenes from the movie. This next one is a terrifying new motion picture by the director of The Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, Dark Man. A novel by Randall Boyle based on the screenplay by Chuck Pfarrer and Sam Raimi and Ivan Raimi and Daniel Golden and Joshua Golden. Story by Sam Raimi. In the final novelization I have to show you is the haunting and eternal story of the undead master suffering for love, Nosferatu the Vampire, a novel by Paul Monte based on Werner Herzog's screenplay for the 20th Century Fox film. Before we close out, I do have a couple other books I wanted to show you. This is not a novelization, but it is a tie-in to Scarface, and that is Scarface at the Beginning, a novel by L.A. Banks. Tony Montana's reign of crime starts here. These next two books are not novelizations, but they had films that were created from them. The astounding bestseller from Michael, the name, I'm going to screw this up. I could have swore it was Michael Crichton, or Michael Crichton, I don't know. He's the author of Rising Sun and some other stuff that you're going to recognize, but he did Congo, an old-fashioned thriller diller, ingenious and imaginative. So there's Congo, and then he also did the New York Times bestseller, more than 4 million copies sold, Jurassic Park. His best to date, says the New York Times. And fantastic movie, Jurassic Park. So that's going to do it for this updated novelization collection video. Hope you enjoyed it. It's a lot of books, I know. Guys, check out the Paper Movies YouTube channel. It's called Paper Movies Book Club. Subscribe to it. Me and a couple other guys, we like to pick a book each month, a novelization. We read it and we discuss it at the end of each month. It's fun. It's great. Hope you join the conversation. Subscribe to that channel. Subscribe to this channel. Check me out at TheGeeksAttic.com and find me across all social media at TheGeeksAttic. Guys, I also have a store from Redbubble where I design shirts like this one, Expanded Universe. It's all a bunch of Star Wars stuff and GeeksAttic stuff. So go check that out. It's all down in the description box below. Guys, have a good one.